Whenever I am educated, I must actually be engaged in the public sector. Very few of us are actually thinking of the informal sector. And that's what actually brought the serious problem that we are in now. If we look at the statistic, how many of us are in public service? And how many people are not in public service? Look at the ratio. You cannot compare it. And at the same time, look at the population. Today now we are talking about 150 million Nigerians. And if we look at the data, please, the PowerPoint. If we look at the data, then we can see there is large gap between those people that are employed in public sector and also those people that actually are not employed. Majority of our students, when they finish schools, they do have the problem of actually getting one thing or another. And let me remind all of us here, job itself is the most important pause in individual's life. Job. That is somebody to have something to do. It determines a lot in individual's life. Let us give an example. Let me take you back to classroom from school to work. We do say to our students that our jobs determines the lifestyle that we are to adopt in our life. And it also determines the food that you are to eat. And it determines the kind of a family you are going to set up. Without a decent job, an individual could not actually get a decent family without a decent job. And those jobs that we want to create, we always want to actually draw the attention of individuals that we have to take into cognizance. Not every job that people will think an individual actually can best his energy in it, but rather we need to create jobs that are decent so that people could actually safeguard their own dignity. By safeguarding your dignity, obviously, you know the worth and rights of others on you. And it is only through having a decent job that you could be usable to yourself, and you could be usable to the family, and you could be usable to the society, and also you could be usable to the nation. And anybody who is engaged in one job or another knows that he is now becoming a responsible person. Habigast has identified about 10 developmental tasks of an adolescent, one of which is economic independence. In any situation where you live your youth without anything to do, obviously they cannot be economically independent. And once an individual is not economically independent, obviously, sir, that person is in trouble. Why? Because he cannot be able to harmonize, and he cannot be able to transit well from that position to the next stage in his life. And also he can actually be one of those resources that other people could take advantage of exploiting him, so that he can be engaged in indecent jobs. I hope you understand. You can only recruit an individual who is not decently employed to actually act as an indecent person. Everybody needs to be good, and people want to be good, according to other theories. In another developmental task that we need to understand is that for any adolescent, that is a child from 14, for example, to 18 or 19, he will start thinking of actually preparing himself for a particular vocation, whereby by that he can be able to become a very responsible person in his life. Are you with me? If that developmental task is not being achieved at the right time, it means there will be a carryover later. Otherwise, the moment there is power transition, then crisis started coming up. Look at it. Many of our youth, or those that are at adolescent stage, they need more money than us. If you have a child of 18 in your house, he will always like to wear better dresses than you, no matter how wealthy you are. And if you have a child of 18 or 16 or 17 or 19 or 20 who will like to ride a better car, the one that you are riding, and if you have a child at that stage also, he will always think and dream of becoming somebody very important in the society. So in a situation whereby those challenges were not actually taken care of, what do you think that child will start doing? Probably he will start stealing money. Do you understand? From just minor behavior disorders to more serious behavior disorders. Probably if he could not be able to get it in the house, he can go out and start stealing other people's property. And what we need to understand, in one of the developmental texts also, as postulated by Habigast, he said that peers have more influence over the youth than their parents or any other person. And you know it. If you want actually know who is your son, you need to know who is his what? You need to know who is his friend. Because they play a greater role in the life of those individuals. I'm just giving you a background. So let us look at some of the crises in the education sector. Well, can you project the slide here? Okay, they are there. Okay, so without taking much of your time, we know that in our society nowadays, there is increase in social, political, and economic problems. What we mean by social problem is that our interpersonal relationship between one another, between one neighbor and another, there are serious problems. Why? Just because many people are not scared. They are not scared just because of poverty. What do we mean by poverty? Somebody who is living below $1, that is 160 naira in a day, or living below $2, how could you think that guy is safe? He's insecure. And any moment, any time, he can actually become a source of worry to other people in the society, and also political and economic. And also there are proliferation of acts of violence and conflicts, poverty and illiteracy. So when we look at the statistics, we could say now, according to the recent report that was posted by Al Jazeera, that over 80% of Nigerians live below $2. That is 318 naira, or $1, that is 160 naira. Let us look at the crisis. Look at the crisis in the education. The education crisis, we could say that we can trace it back up to the UPU of 1976. That was when the former head of state, General Olusegun Obasanjo, introduced UP 1976. Indeed, so many structures were not put in place, so many facilities were not there, and there was mass recruitment in education sector. And he inherited that from other initiatives from the Western and the Eastern region when they introduced UPE in 1951 and 1959 respectively. You know, there were so many challenges. At the end, they have to dump that. Okay. Now let us look at the allocation. When we talk about education, let us look at these statistics about federal allocation to education, whereby in 1996, the tertiary institutions received only 79.9%, while in 1997, they received 78.9%, and in 1998, they received 68.4%. Well,